This video contains spoilers for the Star Rail storyline of 2.0 in 3, 2, 1. While Firefly and Robin may be dead, narratively, I think they're still very much alive. If we look back to the CN show arc, which, regardless of how you feel of its pacing, I think it in general handles its narrative very satisfying. And one of the best things about that story that I remember is how they handle the character of Ting Yun, all the way from introducing her as just a fun, interesting little business-focused but golden-hearted character who eventually becomes a victim of the Mara Struck and their organization. Later on, you go through side quests that really give a more in-depth understanding of who Ting Yun is on top of the time you spent with her. I bring this up because it feels like Robin and Firefly, within the narrative we have right now, are really good examples of the extremes of what Ting Yun was. On one hand, you have a character like Robin who we haven't really been introduced to very much, haven't interacted with much, and yet she's dead. Meanwhile, Firefly is a character we've gotten a good couple of hours with, and yet she's dead. Robin, I think worst case scenario, may stay dead, but will be referenced because she's such a massive celebrity within the dreamscape, and is clearly still tied to the main narrative some way. I would actually hedge my bets that there's gonna be a way for us to bring her back, or at least help stabilize her condition, purely on the idea that I just don't see the narrative satisfaction of a character like Robin kind of being introduced and then completely thrown away. I really think Robin's gonna get a bit of the Ting Yun treatment. Firefly, on the other hand, is a different case entirely. We had an entire multi-hour setup for her, lots of introduction with her backstory, and this really nice scene within the dreamscape, only for her to be suddenly killed. Now, it could just be chalking up what I'm thinking, since I'm still kind of new to gacha storylines, and maybe I'm just being a little too hopeful. Maybe this narrative is going to be very short, but the last two expansions on Star Rail have not really been very short. They've been pretty meaty chunks of main plot. And then you add in a lot of the side stories, and you've got a very vast growing world that thus far in Penacony is being paced a lot better, while still having a lot of the character and lore intrigue. What I'm getting at is, even though Firefly has been killed in the main story, I feel like we're going to get a lot more out of her. Primarily, I see her being a character who is trapped within the dreamscape, and we have to try to rescue them, or at least help reform them. However, Firefly's reality is still a doomed ending, because her body is eventually going to give out on her, which is why she loves being in Penacony so much. My guess is, best case scenario, Robin gets saved and maybe even is able to go back into their body, mostly unharmed thanks to the actions of a reformed Firefly. Or maybe the entirety of the dreamscape is saved because of a sacrifice that Firefly makes, allowing her to make a choice with her life rather than being forced to face the unwavering reality that whether it's in the dreamscape or reality, she's doomed. But maybe the storyline will go in a way where Firefly gets a choice to really spell out her own ending. Even though, no matter what, I think Firefly's story is going to end in a bittersweet tragedy. At least those are my theories for these two characters that I think would be the most narratively satisfying. What do you guys think?